Nina.
Hello.
What are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I appreciate it.
Shall we get right to the questions?
Yes, of course.
You were born into a progressive family, you daughter of a Buddhist intellectual, no?
Yeah.
How did that environment shape your openness and reflection around the body, sex, and the pleasure?
That's a wonderful question. So pardon me, the progressive politics made at a young age of the influence of class and race and education on an individual person's experience of sex. So, messages you get about sex, who's telling you these messages about sex, how are you supposed to behave in relationships was very influenced by the idea of social justice and economic justice. In Buddhism, the emphasis is on compassion, kindness, and very importantly, taking personal responsibility for my experience. So the opposite of being a victim. So in most American culture, and I used to feel this way myself, it's happening to me. Oh, poor me. What's happening to me? And Buddhism talks about how I am shaping my reality and my experience to take responsibility for yourself in this life, but without stepping on other people. So in Buddhism, suffering is human. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional because suffering is what we do between our ears when we have pain. So we continue the pain. I was reject all the things. So compassion, personal responsibility, and then the recognition that sex doesn't happen in a vacuum. I've been conditioned by my experiences to think of sex one way. You have been conditioned by your life to think of sex a different way. And then we're supposed to come together and find a way to be intimate and it can get messy. So that is the main, and also with the leftist progressive ideas, the notion that I could make my life for myself. I didn't have to follow what my parents did. My parents never told me that I had to do a thing or I must do a thing. So that was very useful. They did not like what I did, but they did not push back. And they did not disown me. They did not kick me out of the family. They weren't comfortable with it, but they accepted.
Magnifique. Before entering porn, you were a registered nurse. How do you care and this your context then and now? Would do empathy and arousal meet?
That's a wonderful question. So I got into nursing school. I have never earned a paycheck as a nurse. I went to my school. I got my degree. I passed my test, but I never worked. Have never worked as a nurse. So in nursing, also we're to be compassionate. We're to offer care regardless of the person, right? So every person is deserving equal care, equal consideration, equal kindness, support, and respect. And the same thing happens with sex in the body. For the body to feel safe, it must precede safety from the other person. For the body to be able to process pleasure, it must feel safe with the other person. For the body to feel pleasure, it must feel welcome by the other person. It must feel free. It must feel desired by the other. So what I desire, what I accept, what I want is influenced by the culture. So desire does not happen in a vacuum. We think, oh, it's natural. I want this and that. What we are permitted to desire is heavily influenced by our culture and family, by the class, by the gender, by the education, by the religious institutions. So what a person is permitted to want is dictated by other forces. So in nursing, it doesn't matter where the body comes from. It still needs the same level of care, right? Rich, poor, young, old, black, white, Christian, Muslim, Jew, it doesn't matter. The body knows no religion. The body knows no culture. It just knows I'm safe. I am not safe.
Okay.
I am in pain. I am being relieved of pain. So underneath all the culture, all the experience back in the back of the brain, it's just the body existing in the world in a way that feels safe to it so it can relax, or not safe so it tenses up. So desire and empathy actually are very closely connected. So I can desire anything I want. I can want anything I want because it happens between my ears. I can want all the things. I could only have what I can negotiate with you. So my ability to negotiate depends on my life. Your ability to hear me depends on your life. Since it was always a back and forth, back and forth. It always starts with self-reflection. How do I exist in my body? How well do I treat my body? How well do I treat other people? So it starts with my relationship to myself. And that is influenced by many things, of course, as we said before. So we can desire things without empathy, and we can have empathy without desire. But when you put the two together, you also have to bring in compassion and kindness, right? We must never use sexuality to hurt ourselves or hurt another person. There's no excuse for that. And people use sex all the time to hurt themselves, and whether they mean to or not, often use it to hurt other people. A problem.
That's right. And what drew you in adult industry in 1994? No, at time still large dominate. Yeah, the but male voices. Do you remember the exact moment you thought this is my space? No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course I remember. Oh, my gosh. Like it was yesterday. It was 1976. I was 17 years old, and I was not dating. I dressed very plain, no makeup, very hippie, very, very au natural. But between my home and my school was a adult theater. Every day, walks by, walk by, walk by. And one day I see they're advertising a movie, autobiography of a flea. And I had read the book, a porno book, it's pure porno. A pure pornographic book from the 1880s, 1890s, or maybe earlier. Anyway, very pornographic. And I loved it. So one day I decided I was virgin, had hardly kissed a boy, had never been naked with a boy. I knew a lot about sex, but I'd never actually had it or anything. I have never seen a penis. I'd never felt nothing. And in my mind, absolutely. But in real life, nothing.
The
What?
different. Okay, okay.
So I was very mentally very experienced. In real life, zero experience.
Okay.
Um, and so one day I said, I'm going to go see that movie. And I'm thinking, oh, please don't ask for my identification. Please. In English, we call it to card to make sure you're of age. He didn't card. With the 1970s, they didn't care. And I was wearing, again, very, very unflattering, ugly clothes. Don't look at me. I'm not here for you. And I hoped, please, no one sit next to me. I didn't know, were they creepy? They were terrified. So I had the middle of the theater all to myself.
Hmm.
The first time I saw intercourse on screen, that's what I want to do. It's just like that. It's called a Shakti put. I didn't know how, I didn't know where, I didn't know when. I just knew that was it for me. Performance, sex without having to be in relationship. And also a way for me to have access to a lot of bodies without having to date. I'm awkward with people. I just wanted the sex, but I wanted to have the sex, but I didn't know how to make sure I wasn't going to get killed or something bad happened. I'm not good with people. So when I started finally making the movies, what the industry did for me was provide a framework where I could safely have access to a lot of bodies. I didn't have to meet them, talk to them, pick them up, take them home. I wasn't alone with a stranger after drinking it was just full daylight, people in the room. I come in, there's my partner. Hello, how do you do? I loved it because as a nurse, before culture, before gender, before religion, there is the body. So you like this, I like that, it's just
Ah,
what the body responding to. No morals. You like this, you like that. I didn't care. If it's consenting adults and if it's sanitary, um, it doesn't hurt anybody, I'm down. So for me, the main important thing was I'm not going to be sick, I'm not going to be injured, I'm not going to be arrested, and I am not going to be made ill.
okay.
And other than that, what do you have? So for me, I knew the first time I saw a movie that I wanted to do it. It took 7 years before I made my first movie. But between that first time I saw a movie and making a movie, I just knew yeah, that.
All right. You started in over 1,000 scenes and work into industry a legend.
Ah, I became a legend because I just didn't go away. Most women in the 80s left after a little while. They came here for different reasons. I knew what first time I meant to a strip first time I asked as a stripper, I knew I was home. So I was going to be in the sex world somehow for my life. This was
Well,
like so I didn't set out to become a legend, but I did set out to influence the culture. I just knew that just boom, 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 just do it. I cannot control the whole movie. I can control my scene. So I made sure always that my scene was going to be uh, was going to catch you. Because every time I make a scene, it might be someone's first time seeing me, and I knew I had to snatch them. I had to grab them as a fan. So and that worked very well. I came here to in the 1980s, the rhetoric around sex work was no woman wants to be a whore. No woman thinks about growing up and doing this. And I used to think, but I do. I dreamed. I mean, I'm not. I tell people I make pornography because I'm too coward to be a prostitute because I need things to be legal, right? So it's
okay.
for me. It is not having sex for money that's a problem. It's risking getting arrested and ruining your life. So I wasn't down for that.
Oh,
I knew that the images of a woman being happy with sex and having agency and having ideas and being um, participating in what's happening was revolutionary. Um, I made sure, and I thought I was having a good time. That was the thing. I wasn't pretending to have a good time. I was having a good time. I never did anything on camera that I didn't already like doing in private. So they weren't paying me to do terrible things or they weren't paying me to violate my morals. It's like, no, I like fellatio. I like group sex. Yeah. I like cunnilingus. So I the people always from the very beginning, besides, oh, you're so beautiful, is you really seem to like what you're doing. And in those days, it was very difficult because in media, especially then, even now still, if a woman likes sex too much in the movies or something had to happen to her, she had to go crazy, die, lose her family, her freedom, her sanity, her life, in to be paid back for being a slut or a whore or a bad girl. So the good girl privilege, bad girl punishment was everywhere in the media. So no bad girl could prevail. No bad girl could come out on top. Something had to happen to her to keep other women from going, okay, okay, I won't have desire. I won't speak against my husband, whatever. So just the fact that and pornography in that way, it's very juvenile, it's very shallow, it's very limited, but it's very radical because unlike regular media, women have fantastical sexual adventures and nobody dies. And she has pleasure and lives to have pleasure again. She has pleasure on her own terms and lives to have pleasure again. It's actually quite radical, um, in my view. I know other people don't agree with me, but I think it's very true. So I came in here for 2 reasons. First, my own pleasure, and also to speak about sex and pornography from a place of practice. Because in the 80s, all theory, the feminists talked about porn, but none of them were talking to people who made it, and none of them were making it themselves. And so I like a fifth columnist, I came in as a feminist, educated person into pornography, which is a strange place for someone like me to go. And I looked at it differently. I interacted with it differently. And more importantly, my fans saw something different. And I have fans today now I have had for 40 years, right? Who saw me in the 80s, have followed me throughout ever since. So I didn't set out to be a legend, but I did set out to be what we call in English a lifer, lifer, here for life. Because when you leave porn, there's not a lot of places you can go after porn, right? Because the stigma is still very great. There are other women who made movies for a few years and then got educated as a health technician or a veterinary technician and dental hygienist, wanted to go away from porn into a regular job. and they keep getting fired. Either a customer goes, "Oh my gosh, I know you," and they're fired, or the boss finds out, or someone makes a complaint, and they end up back in porn when they wanted to leave. So the ability to leave adult entertainment and do something else is very limited, at least in the United States. If you have any big of a name, if you're nobody, then you can just leave and stop dyeing your hair, and no one's going to know. But if you get any kind of notoriety, it will follow you.
Okay, and is there a film or a project that you feel truly represent who you are, both as a performer and a person?
Certainly my educational series, my educational video series from Adam and Eve called the Nina Hartley Guides, 40 videos on all kinds of sex techniques. I wrote a book, which has been translated into German and Italian, German and Spanish, but not yet Italian. Um, so I'm most proud of the educational work.
Okay.
In terms of my pure pornography, uh, there are lots of individual scenes that I really like, that are just, that depicts a scene of me from 1989 with Peter North, on a weight bench, and called Splendor in the Ass. But I'm wearing a little red hat, I'm wearing red gloves and red shoes and nothing else. So it's a wonderful scene of pure, fun, silly porn. So, but I'm most proud of my educational movies and my kinky movies, my BDSM, because they're light, they're fun, and they're all about pleasure instead of punishment. So I think I brought a new angle to kinky sex, and definitely brought a new angle to education.
Okay, you said my body, it's my teaching tool. Do you see yourself more as an actress, an activist, or an education?
Primarily, I am an activist. I'm a pleasure
Okay.
activist. I am The acting is fun. I like doing it. It's fun. It's play acting, right? I like it, but it is in service to my greater job of being an advocate. So nurses are here to advocate for patients. We are here to educate, and we're here to role model. So
Okay.
in here, so if a woman is in charge of her sex life, what might that look? I'm here to advocate for the importance of pleasure, for the importance of intimacy and self-care, and I'm here to role model what does that look like. So advocating, educating, and role modeling are three of the primary functions of a nurse. So I came if the wire had been one slot over, I would be a midwife, or I would be a linguist, or a mathematician, or a primatologist, or a historian, because I'm interested in lots of things, but the body and sex really were it for me. If I wasn't queer, I consider myself a queer person. So I am in the 70s, I knew I was bisexual. I was exhibitionistic. I was a
Okay.
queer, a nudist. If I had modern language, I would say I'm agender, pansexual, polyamorous, kinky. So but I knew early on that would like other people. So it just happened to be about sex for me. If the wire had gone somewhere else, I had be 40 years into a different career. I would be the best at that. Whatever career I was designed to study one thing my whole life and just follow it through. Ceramics, glass blowing, again, linguistics, and who knows? It turned out to be sex. But what I like about sex is every person with a body can have pleasure. The body's made that way. That's just the way. So it's sex is a universal fact and a completely individual experience. Both coins. So on one side of the coin, everybody has it. Everybody has some kind of sexuality. On the other hand, super personal, universal, personal, universal, personal, and it exists at the same time. For example, the penis. It is both personal and impersonal. It's a personal pleasure antenna for the man, and an impersonal mechanical object that he uses with his partner. Personal for him, just a thing for her. So,
Okay.
and it's not good or bad. It's just the way that it is. So one of the things Buddhists talk about, we suffer when we resist the truth.
Mm.
Here it is. I don't want it to be this way. Here it is. I don't want it to be this way. So for as long as he cannot accept this is how it is, you're going to be really unhappy. So how do we accept that my body likes this? My body can do this. My body can't do this. My penis is like this. My breasts are like that. It's just It's just how we are. How can we learn to be happy within the truth of ourselves? And that's where our pleasure comes in, because the way the culture works, we train people from very tiny that their bodies are dangerous, they're not their own, they are dirty, disgusting. So even alone in a room, we cannot be okay. I'm alone in a room with my body, but I can't be in my body because I'm so full of bullshit about it. But I cannot find comfort with myself. I cannot find peace. I cannot find calm. I cannot find care. And then that, of course, has problems that come from that.
Correct. What are the biggest lies the media tells about sex, and what myths does the porn industry in self still perpetuate?
Well, the biggest lie about sex that the culture, I have to speak about Western culture, of course, Judeo-Christian culture, because that's what I know most, you know. The biggest lie, of course, is that it is dirty, immoral, evil, that women are somehow both temptresses and also vessels of no desire. I mean, just the lies it tells about men and women are the cult. It goes way back. Porn, up until internet, porn was a mirror of culture, because culture comes, art comes from the culture. So when you have a culture that has very weird ideas about sex, the art they make about sex is going to be weird, right? Because the individual artist has been fucked up however they're fucked up. And so the art they make about sex is going to reflect their fucked upness. So, but I always believed that porn was a mirror, that culture gets the porn it deserves. And so since no culture values sexuality in a positive way, most of the porn was pretty bad. Now with the internet, it's a loop.
Okay.
Porn feeds culture, culture feeds porn. With things like OnlyFans, and it used to be, I would never do porn. Whoa, oh my God, those disgusting girls. Oh my God, I could never. Oh, ah. So now I can do it by myself in my room and not have to meet the guys and not have to touch anybody else. Okay, I'll sell pictures of my feet. So both in our culture, an attention culture, right? So people
Right.
are for attention, look for feedback. And so on the internet, I will put myself out there on the internet and see what comes back to me. And it is much more complex now, much more complex. The age that people see, it used to be back in the day before the internet, most people did not see adult material until they were themselves already interested because of puberty, right? So they were compelled to go look for it because the body said, I'm interested because puberty. Now it's very possible and very common for a young person to see images with no context. So they don't know they don't know this normal, not normal. Am I supposed to do that? Am I not supposed to do that? What? And there's no language to just talk about it, because it's very dangerous to protect children from sex. We have to have the
Right.
conversation. You have to have the conversation all the way from childhood about their body safety and coming and tell the parent all the things and not shame them. Doesn't happen very often. I'm not a parent, but I know it's difficult. I know that it's difficult to protect our kids from things before we would like to see them, before we'd like them to be exposed. I don't know the answer for that. It's positive that people can find information about themselves and their sexuality and find other people like themselves. So no longer so isolated, right? If you're in a tiny town and you're the only gay kid, but now with the internet, you can find there's other gay kids out there. And so you can make friends. So that's a positive. The negative, of course, is the doxing and the lack of context, right? And I will say this: in the 80s, what we would now consider violent porn was a very small percentage of what you saw, and was very difficult to find. And now it is very common to see movies or scenes that are extreme with no context, right? And
Right.
I hear lots of stories of people in real life where one partner, without asking or negotiating, starts to escalate and make things very rough without consent, and that is a problem. There's always been a problem, but I think some scenes just give people permission, or they don't because they don't have a conversation about sex.
Yeah.
A person might not know, how do I negotiate this behavior in real life, and so they just do it, and it's bad. It's bad. I'm not happy about that.
And After all these years, what still exactly you about your work?
What do I still like about my work?
Exists your about your work? What still existed?
Yes. What excites me most about my work is to help people with the emotional part of it.
Yeah.
So there's behavior, and then there's context, and then there's my personal relationship to it. So my job now is to uh, help people come to terms with themselves sexually, so they no longer punish themselves by thinking they're bad or pick the wrong partner or blame their partner for things. So I'm here to because behind the behavior, so there's the behavior and then all the emotions
Yeah.
underneath
Yeah.
that. And so it's no longer it's about how do I tickle this? How do I lick that? What does it mean? What am I expressing? And what am I perpetuating? What am I continuing? Am I creating something positive? Am I continuing something negative? Am I actively harming myself, acting out of self-loathing? Am so the emotional context of sex behavior is much deeper than the physical behavior because there's hugging, kissing, rubbing, intercourse, kissing, hugging, sucking, and fucking, and toys. So there's like 5 things to do. There's not a lot to do, right?
Right.
There is solo, boy, girl, 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 boy, boy, groups. So there's 5 things to do and 5 combinations. It's been done. It's been done. It's been done. Tall, short, young, old, blonde, redhead, dark, light, big, small. It's been done 10,000 times each. So what remains is meaning. And humans make meaning. So sex has no meaning except what the culture gives.
Yeah.
It gives positive meaning and negative meaning. So in our culture, sex has positive meaning over here. And the same behavior has negative meaning over here.
Right.
So people think, oh, this is natural. This is natural. No, it's all cultural. It's all conditioned. It's all imposed upon us. What we value, what we think sex is for, how we feel about ourselves for having it, how we feel about you for wanting it, all that is culture. It's not truth. Because what is positive in this culture is absolutely terrible in that culture, and vice versa. So the only uniform thing in the world is every culture controls sexuality. Every culture has rules around sexuality to foster social cohesion, to put forth an idea, but it's all cultural. And there does need to be some culture around it because if we just let anyone, it's not okay to do whatever we want because then we hurt people. We take,
Okay.
right? You can't just, you can want whatever you want. You have, so in my mind, I'm having sex in space. I'm having sex underwater. I'm having sex because it doesn't hurt anybody. It's up here. So when I try to make it real and include you, then we have to have agreements and conversation, and I have to have respect for you, and you have to have respect for me, and we have to have boundaries and consent, and it's just difficult. So a lot of people have difficulty taking what's in here and trying to make it happen. And so it can be very clumsy, it can be illegal, it can be very bad if you don't have the skills to talk and if you don't have the belief that I get to have this. So if I don't think I get to have a thing, oh, I can't, but I want it, but I can't, but I want it. We push, 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 push until it goes, and then we run out and do it in a very bad way. Instead of thinking, okay, I want this. How can I make this safe? How can I have what I want and not hurt myself or anybody else? Most people, because sex is so, we can't be still with it and think. And so people lack the ability to calmly think, okay, I have this desire. Do I want to make it real? Should I try to make it real? Can I make it real? How could I make it real? And those are questions we don't think about sex. Oh, it should just happen. Oh, I was carried away. I don't know. I don't know how we ended up in bed together. Sex never just happens. Sex never just happens. Whether we understand or not, we a series of agreements and choices. Now, so I made the choice to be violent and take from you, or I made the choice to not listen to the red flag and get myself out of there. I'm not talking about actual rape or you are jumped or anything. I'm talking about when no overt violence is happening. It's no sex can never just happen. It happens within a context, within a culture, within a situation. Now, within that, there are different levels of power between the two people, different levels of agency between the two people, different levels of freedom between the two people. I'm not saying that sex is not often used in a very unbalanced, harmful, and illegal manner. I'm not saying that. But I'm thinking of the times that I had a bad time with sex or a bad time in relationship. I'm very fortunate. I have never had domestic violence, but I've had emotional violence in my life. And even then, I look back at myself when I'm younger and recognize that I may have felt like it happened to me, but I went along with it until I couldn't no longer. So even when I was thinking, oh, I don't like this, I didn't say anything because whatever. So it's really nuanced and it's really, really complicated. So it all goes back to my individual responsibility to myself. How will I behave in such a way that I do not put myself in danger? And how will I behave in such a way that I do not endanger or take advantage of another person? The culture can be going to hell in a handbasket. The culture can be very messed up. Within all the chaos, I have to decide how am I going to behave in a way that does not hurt myself, hurt another person, and also supports my values. It's complex.
Wonderful.